on Zoom. I mean, on YouTube, recording. I am running my own tech today, so I'm giving you a little heads up. There's a lot of tech. All right, so I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to actually jump to full frame here. All right, hey. So a real quick poll before we really jump in, and it's not a Zoom poll, it's just a poll. Like, I just want to know who I'm speaking to. You can either raise your hand or wave or do an interpretive dance. So, how many of you have already spoken from the stage? All right, cool, thanks. And how many of you have been paid to speak? All right, cool, cool. And how many of you have sold from the stage? All right, fewer. And how many of you are just none of the above? Never been on stage, never spoken, never sold, none of that stuff. You just raise your hand or put a yes in the chat or set something on fire. Okay, cool. Good to know. So I'm going to give you a super brief history on me, which is going to be important to what we're discussing. All right. So about 8 years ago, I was a man in a very, very unusual position, right? I was face down on my carpet in a pool of my own snot and tears because I had just lost my marketing company and I had also lost $80,000 in under a month. At the time, I had no prospects for the future, no idea what I was going to do next, and I was pretty much looking at destitution, homelessness, right? So, again, operating my own tech. About 8 months later from that day, I walked out on stage in Dallas, Texas, being paid $10,000 for my very first speaking gig. Now, that process of going from the floor on my carpet to the stage was a process of massive transformation, right? I essentially wiped the whiteboard clean of who Dan Gordon was and started from the very beginning and created Coach Dan Gordon. Now, I didn't think anybody was going to hire me as a business coach after I just failed at business, but everything that I did to transform myself and my way of being made me successful in this new career. So why am I telling this to you? I'm telling this to you because where you are right now in your speaking career, even if you have no speaking career, it doesn't matter. You can become wildly successful. And it's not complicated, it's only difficult. But the good news is it's only as difficult as you make it. Right? If you're resistant to change, you're going to have a hard time. If you're open to change, you are going to love it. So when I decided to become a speaker, the very first thing I did is I started attending speaking events because I wanted to see how professional people did it. And what I found at most of the events was, well, frankly, I was appalled by the speaker. I was not inspired by the speaker. I was appalled by them. And it really made me dislike speakers. And I'll tell you why. Right? I went to these events and I found that speakers looked at the audience like this, like an ATM machine, right? All they wanted was to get paid. They want to go out there and get your money. And what happened is they would make huge promises. They would sell their bullshit programs and their products, and they'd whip people up into a frenzy just to swindle them into paying for something that had almost no value. I saw it over and over and over again. And you could feel it. You could feel it when they looked out in the audience. This is what they saw. You were their cash machines. So another quick poll here. If you've ever bought something from somebody on stage that you didn't use or you later found to be worthless, do me a favor and put a vomit emoji in the chat or just, anything to show your displeasure. A thumbs down, let me know. Because this happened to me plenty of times. And the truth is, look, I know that you don't want to be one of those people, right? You're on this training right now in this moment because you want to sell from stage differently, effectively, without being one of those people. Now, when I talk about selling from the stage, most people say to me, okay, how do I craft my message to get people to buy? Right. And it's a logical question, right? I mean, you're out there on the stage, you're there to sell. There's a message, right? But imagine if someone said to you, how should I ask someone to marry me so I can guarantee they'll say yes, right? What would you say? Right? You'd probably say, look, it's not really about how you ask them, it's everything that you do what? Before you ask them, everything leading up to that moment. And the same is true from selling from the stage. It's not how you craft your message. It's about the relationship that you build with the audience. Give me a little thumbs up if that makes sense to you. Cool. So as I was investigating speakers, I discovered very quickly that I wanted to be very, very different than the people I was seeing. Now, look, some of the people that I saw were very good. They were very moral. They had products and services and ways of presenting themselves that was fantastic. And when I would find these people afterwards, I would go up to them and I would compliment them, because you can never go wrong with complimenting someone. And then I asked them for a one-time meeting because I wanted help in launching my speaking career. And every one of those people granted me that one-time meeting, and oftentimes many, many more. The reason I'm telling you this is that when you find people that you respect in whatever you're doing, don't be shy, or be shy, but go up to them anyway and make a big ask. Hey, can I have a meeting with you? Can we talk about this? Right? This is how I did, how I learned a lot about speaking. So before we jump into this, and there's going to be a lot, I want to make this training easy on you. So I don't want you to have to take notes. I don't want you to have to try to like find the replay and watch it and study it like, intently. Instead, I want to give you all of my notes. I want to give you all of my slides. I want to give you a summary of this training. And I'm also going to send you a recording of the video and a transcription. All right. So all you have to do for all those things is just hit this QR code. Or if you hate QR codes, you can just text the word SCALE, SCALE, to 213-409-8366. So hit that QR code or text SCALE to 213-409-8366. And you'll go to a little form and you put in your info, and you'll get all this information in the next 24 hours. And I want to do this for you so you don't have to focus on taking notes or what did he just say, or can you say that again. I want to make this so easy on you collecting this information, because there's going to be a lot of it and it's going to be really quick. All right. So let's talk about my speaker criteria, right? I knew that I didn't want to be a douchebag on stage. So I created a profile of the type of speaker that I wanted to be. And I'm going to share the speaker criteria with you, and then I'm going to talk about why it's important to you. All right. So one, I knew that I wanted to make my audience feel good about themselves, right? Not feel good about me. I didn't want to share my awards and my accomplishment and show pictures of me flying in private jets, because it's not about me. It's about them. And by the way, someone just asked me to put that in the chat because it was choppy. So would someone do that for me, please? Just pop that information in the chat, because I am running my own tech here. The word SCALE, SCALE, 213-409-8366. Thanks, and you'll get all the info. So I knew I wanted to make my audience feel good about themselves, not feeling good about me. And I see this with a lot of speakers, right? They showed their awards, the private jets. It's all just an ego boost, right? It's about them. It's not about me. So that's my first speaker criteria. And the second thing is to give away my secret sauce. So what's that mean? It means that I tell everyone how to be successful in achieving the things they want without having to buy anything from me. Now, look, I know it sounds counterintuitive, because if they tell you, or because if you tell them how to do it without buying anything, why would they buy it? But don't worry, I'm going to explain that later. And my third criteria, and most importantly, I decided to sell only from stage in a style that didn't make people feel sold. It didn't make people feel like I was selling to them. So when I make my offer, it's important that people genuinely feel good about buying it or genuinely feel good about not buying it. But either way, they don't feel pressure. So that was the criteria that I set for myself. And to be honest, I haven't always fulfilled on that criteria, because whenever you do something new, what's going to happen? What's going to happen most of the time? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to do it in a way that's clunky, not in a way that you had hoped. It's not going to go off the way that you want it. I remember I did a speaking event where they said, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Coach Dan Gordon." And that's when the jackhammers began, right? So, and throughout my entire presentation, they were jackhammering in the basement of that venue. So you just never know. Things are going to go wrong. And so I decided that if I was going to set a criteria for how I treated my audience, then I also needed to set a personal criteria for how I was going to treat myself. And I made this really simple, because in becoming an expert speaker, there's only one thing that I had to do in how I treated myself, and that is simply to forgive myself. I forgave myself for every mistake that I made. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to make a commitment to be a great speaker. You simply have to commit to forgiving yourself, to being kind to yourself, to being nurturing with yourself. Because if everything goes well, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. And trust me, if beating yourself up for making mistakes was something that worked, I would have figured out how to make it work, because I did a lot of that. And I realized that the fact is, when you treat yourself kindly, it opens up the creative pipeline in your mind and allows you to learn from your past mistakes. Now, what I'm sharing with you right now is very important, and it's a very foundational approach to how you're going to get great at selling from the stage. Because remember, again, this isn't about how you sell the moment of selling. It's everything leading up to the sale, right? So I'm going to go back through these because they're key in building that positive relationship with your audience. So by the time you ask them to marry you, they're much more likely to say yes. So number one is, of course, make the audience feel good. You have to make the audience feel good before anything else. Before you tell them how wonderful you are, before you start talking about your product or service and all the people that you've helped, and certainly before you ask them to buy anything. Now, you may remember how I started this presentation. Right? I started with giving you some value, right? Some of you weren't on, but I was saying, hey, it's great that you're here. Like, I really honor the fact that out of all the things that you could be doing, you're here, right? And that's what I do on stage. Because look, let's face it, the people who show up, who actually show up at your speaking event, are there to help themselves. And very few people do that. So acknowledge people's courage, acknowledge their curiosity, remind them that the people who sit on the sidelines of life don't come to events like these to better themselves. And your audience might be used to doing that, so they're not aware of how unique they are. Tell them, make them feel good about themselves. Number two, see, give away give away your secret sauce. Now, look, tell them how to do all the things you're selling without them having to buy it. And again, I know this is counterintuitive, but let's talk about this. This means giving away everything so they can use it immediately after they leave the presentation. So I want you to think of it this way. Imagine you go to a free cooking class and the chef makes this amazing chocolate cake. It's the most delicious thing you've ever eaten. Now, at the end of the class, the chef gives you the recipe for the cake. It's a very complicated recipe. Now, what are the odds that you're actually going to go home and make this complicated cake? Actually pretty low. Now, further, what are the odds, even if you try to make it, it's going to look or taste anything like the cake that chef made? That's even lower. Now, what are the odds that if you're really into baking cakes and you had a great experience at that one free training, that you're going to go back and sign up for the cooking class? It's pretty high. See, giving away the secret sauce shows the value of your product. It shows your confidence in your product and your confidence in yourself. These are the things that make it more likely for people to buy. Like, notice that everything I've shared with you so far has offered you some pretty good value. And I haven't even tried to sell you anything. I haven't even once mentioned a product. See, once you show people your value and what you're offering, they still need your help. It doesn't mean that they can do it on their own. And also, the fact is that if you only get desperate people to buy your stuff, those are not the people that you want as clients and customers. They're a gigantic pain in the ass. So give away your secret sauce. It's a good thing. And the third thing, sell in a style that doesn't make people feel sold. And this is really simple. Don't use special buy now, one time, limited only things that make people feel FOMO. And why? Do those things work? Hell yes, they work. But do those things make you come off like a douchebag? Hell yes, they make you come off like a douchebag. It's a crappy thing to do to people. And I know, because I've done it. And it made me feel really crappy about myself. And by the way, I didn't really sell a lot of things doing it that way anyway. I think if you feel good about selling this way, you might be a sociopath. Look, think about it. When you go to an Apple store to buy an iPhone, do they ever pull that crap on you? Are they like, well, if you buy the iPhone now, it's only blah, 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 blah. But the moment you walk out that door, the iPhone is blah, blah, blah. Right? Does your doctor do that? Right? Well, if you get the surgery now, it's only this much. But as soon as you walk out that door, does anybody that you trust do that to you? Well, car dealers might do that to you. But who loves buying a car? I mean, I do, because I love screwing with car salespeople, but they deserve it. Anyway, you have a price for your product. That's the price that it is. Like most everything else out there that you buy, that's the price. If you have to bribe people, if you have to frighten people into making a purchase, you have done something horribly wrong in how you're selling. Like, look, if you say, look, marry me right now and you get this great ring, but as soon as you walk out the door, right, you don't do that. Treat people with respect and they'll respect you. You don't want clients who buy based on fear any more than you want to marry someone because they're afraid of being alone. Now, look, if you've done everything I've suggested so far, you're now a lot closer to getting your audience to buy. They trust you, they like you, they feel good about you. You now have a better chance of them saying yes when you get down on one knee and pop the question. But before you do that, it's important to get their contact information. You have to get the contact information from your audience before you sell something to them. Why? Because selling isn't selling. Selling is follow-up. Most people don't make spur of the moment purchasing decisions, especially if you have an expensive product. What do they like to do? They like to think about it, right? So you're better off having, instead of just having one opportunity to sell someone, having multiple opportunities. So when you have those opportunities, they can come back with questions, they can deepen the relationship, you can build more trust with them individually than you can standing in front of a crowd. But to make that happen, you have to be able to get in touch with them. So how do you do that? Right. So one strategy, and I've seen people do this, they put their phone number on the screen and they say, everyone text me so I can call you later. Like, would you do that? No. I've seen people pass around a clipboard that says, write down your contact information. Do you want to do that? No. Like, the reason that isn't going to work is because you're making it all about you, about what you want from them. And do they care about what you want? No, they care about themselves. If you want to get their contact information, you're going to have to offer them something of such great value that they gleefully turn it over to you. So what's that thing? Well, it's something that I've actually already done. You may remember a little while ago, I showed you this bad boy, right? I offered you my slides, my notes, a summary of this presentation, a recording of it. That's a lot of great stuff. It saves you hours of work. Some of you might even be thinking, wait, I could steal this presentation and go do it somewhere else. Have fun, knock it out. You have my blessing. Now, what happened when you hit that QR code and you texted that keyword? Oh, look at this. All right. I asked you for your contact information, and most of you gave it to me. Now I can follow up with you. I can also invite you to other presentations where I can provide you with more valuable information and have another opportunity to present my offer to you. Look, a lot of you are here right now because I offered you something of value a while ago and you gave me your contact information. You might have opted in for one of my books. You might have opted in because of one of my podcasts, either the podcast I was on or my own podcast. I do a lot of offers like that. I collect a lot of information because I give out a lot of value. So you're here now because of I'm building a relationship. And because of this, I don't have to frighten you or pressure you into buying something in the moment when I'm on stage, because I know I can always catch you on the flip side. I can invite you to other events. I can put you in an email drip campaign where I provide you with real value, not just a stupid newsletter. Don't do that. I can even send you a personal video where I can ask what you liked about the presentation. I can do all kinds of other things to deepen our relationship that has nothing to do with selling you. Okay. So we've covered what not to do. Let's talk about a better way to sell from the stage. All right? I want you to understand that selling from the stage is really the smallest part of selling from the stage. Everything else is warming up the crowd. It's establishing your value. It's building rapport. So before you go and sell your thing, you must have already provided them with a tremendous amount of value. You must have built that rapport. You must show them that you're more interested in them and providing them value and making them feel good than you are about selling your thing. Now, what better way to sell than with authenticity? Okay, what does that mean? What does selling with authenticity mean? Well, you know those great features and benefits of your product that you love? All those cool things about it that you just can't wait to share? Forget about them. No one cares. No one cares. No one else is interested in your features and benefits. Right? Do you ever see something like this on the back of someone's car? Ask me about my grandchildren. Are you in any way motivated to follow this person home and ask them about their grandchildren? No. That's what it sounds like when you start waxing poetically about your product's features and benefits, right? You must forget about all those things. I'm going to say that again. To sell authentically, you have to forget about the features and benefits, right? You don't care about that. Now, this is hard. We love our product features and benefits. We spend all day with our product features and benefits. We are sure that if we show you pictures of our grandchildren, you will love them as much as we do. But you have to understand that the only person who is in love with your product and the features and the benefits is you, nobody else. Right? The other thing that people talk about on stage is educating their audience. Right? Do you know what kind of audience likes to be educated? No kind of audience. Even people who are there to be educated don't really want to be educated. They want to be entertained. They aren't going to sit there and get educated about something just so you can sell it to them later. Again, people don't care about your product. They care about themselves, right? You have to stay focused on what they care about. So forget about features and benefits and education. And instead, here's what you want to focus on. Selling the future. You're selling a better future that they want. Look, I don't talk about what a great coach I am or my special coaching system that works for everyone. Here's what I do, especially when I'm talking about sales. I ask people to imagine walking into a sales meeting, any sales meeting, and instead of being nervous or wondering, oh, I wonder what's going to happen, they feel like they own the room, right? No matter what kind of opposition they get, they have the perfect answer. No matter what kind of questions or pushback they get, they know immediately how to put people at rest. And when it comes time to close the deal, instead of worrying about asking for the money, they feel confident. They're excited, not nervous about presenting their offer. Now, would that be a future that you want? Like, wouldn't that feel great to feel confident in every sales meeting? Like, that's the future that people want. They don't give a damn about my coaching. They don't care how they get there. All they care about is living in that better future, and that's what I'm selling them. So here's the bigger part of this. When you sell from the stage, talk about the future that your product or service is going to bring them. Don't give them a special bullet-pointed list of all the things that your product does. It's the future that you're delivering to them. If you're selling, I don't know, fishing lures, right? Don't talk about the galvanized steel hook, or don't talk about the unbreakable polyurethane housing, the fishing lure. Talk about how they're sitting there in the boat with their 5 buddies. And while their friends are not even getting a nibble, they're pulling in bass after bass after bass. And every fish that they pull in, they get to hold it up in front of their friends and go, ha! That's something that people who like fishing want. It's the kind of thinking that happens when you think about what your audience wants as opposed to what you want to tell them. Instantly, you begin to understand your product or service is only a conduit to them getting what they want. It's a necessary step to give them what they want. They don't want your thing. They don't want the thing that I'll say that again. They don't want your thing. They want the thing that your thing is going to bring them. So talk about that. You have to talk about with excitement. You have to talk about it with clarity. You have to bring so much enthusiasm to the stage that they can't help but want to know more. And this is the product of a great stage sale. And frankly, look, it's the product of a great selling anything, being way more interested in your prospect than you are in your product. You have to remember, people don't buy things. People buy emotional experiences. People don't buy things. People buy emotional experiences. The fisherman who's showing off to his friends, does he want the fish? No, he wants to gloat. He wants to post pictures on Instagram. That's the emotional experience that he's going for. That's what your product or service is delivering. That's what you sell. Now, I wanted to give us a lot of time for Q&A because hopefully I've inspired a lot of questions. But before we get there, I have one small favor. If this has been in any way helpful to you, and only if this has been in any way helpful to you, would you do me a favor and text the word love, as in, I love this, Coach Dan, to 213-409-8366. You'll get a link that will take you to my Google review page. And please leave a 5-star review and just write one thing that you got out of this presentation. It doesn't have to be a dissertation, just really simply one thing like that you enjoyed that I shared. My Google business page is how I attract more people to help expand my credibility, to expand my service, to expand what I do in the world. And so this is really important to me. And we've been talking about selling from the stage. This is all that I'm asking. I'm not actually selling anything. And so think about this. The thing that you're really selling isn't something that someone can point at. The thing that you're selling is that experience, and that's what you should focus on. Now, if you want some help from me, you can book a 15-minute call with me. Just go to gordon.coach/chat. And again, I won't try to sell you on that call. What I will do is provide you with a tremendous amount of value and probably show you a glimpse of how badass your life can be. These are the things that I do to move my mission forward. I'm not in the business of selling things. What I'm really in the business of is bringing greater consciousness to the world. And I do that by helping people recognize the greatest parts of themselves. Everything that we've been through today has been about you doing a deeper dive on you, getting detached from this thing that you're selling, and instead attaching yourself to other people. Relationships are key in our humanity. They are the primary focus of what drives human beings. And when you build great relationships with people, it not only allows you to serve them, it allows them to compensate you gratefully for that service. So last thing I want to share before we go into the Q&A is that, and I'm just going to lead this up for a bit. Jules asked me to share this. Jules Vitality, she is an amazing woman. Like, she is why that I'm here. Like, she asked me to do this presentation today, and I was really honored to be able to speak to her group, to you guys, because she is a mountain of integrity. And I really have enjoyed getting to know her, and I'm grateful to her. And you should definitely connect with her, pick up on what she's offering, because I know for sure it has a tremendous amount of value. I'm going to leave that up for a little bit, and let's get into some Q&A. Please put your hand up for those of you who have questions, and let's talk about what it is that you want and what it is, how I can help you get it. And it's a funny thing about that, right? I've done a lot of these Zoom calls, and oftentimes there is a resistance to people asking questions. And the resistance has to do with people being concerned about if they ask the right question, if it's going to sound stupid, right? And the thing is, I'm going to get to you in a minute. I see a hand. It's the courage to ask a question, to say something that might not be perfect. That's all about how you do, how you step into the greatest version of yourself. Dr. Johnson, let's talk with you.
Greetings. Thank you so much for all the information. I really appreciate it. I love your energy. My quick question is when I speak, I like to do like interactive workshop type
Yeah.
events. So would that still be considered as being on the stage and speaking, or do I have to just be behind a podium
No,
and
hey, that's a great question. And now it occurs to me that I didn't really explain what the definition of speaking from the stage is. First of all, if they have a podium, set it on fire, destroy it, get rid of it. Never speak behind a podium. You have an entire stage, use it, bring the energy. And by the way, would somebody please put Jules's a website in the chat? I really want people to be able to connect with her. So to finish on that, anytime you're speaking to a group, it is what I call speaking from the stage, right? You are there to inspire people, to inform them, to help them. So it could be in a group environment where you're sitting in a circle. You could have a bunch of people that are at desks. It could be an auditorium. Think about it this way. You have an opportunity to inspire people to be their greatest selves. And anytime you're doing that in a venue where there's a bunch of people, that is speaking from the stage. Hope that answers that question.
yes, it does. And one really second quick question,
Yeah.
like how do you identify different opportunities? Do you have anything that you can share where we can um actually have access to that?
Yeah. Uh, get online in a Google search, uh, search for call for speakers, call for speakers. And even better, whatever area that you want to speak in, like if you speak to real estate agents like I do, real estate agents call for speakers, and you will find a lot of people looking for speakers. Like it's surprising because it's like, wow, it's really hard to find speaking engagement. There's people looking for speakers, and there's a lot of ways to reach out in a way that people that really makes a splash, right? But the thing that you always want to think about is the gatekeeper of that event. And that is that it's not about what you want to tell people and why you want to get on their stage because of this cool thing that you want to share. It's what they're interested in. So my call for speaker responses are very different for real estate agents than if I'm talking to wealth advisors, right? Because that's two different groups. They want two different things. So I'm focusing that message, right? The first sale is the sale to the gatekeeper to get you on stage. Anna Schroem, what do you got?
Hey, Dan. First time caller,
Hi.
long time listener. I was,
Full disclosure, Hannah has been a client for a long time. Amazing woman. Hannah, what's your YouTube channel?
oh, Miss Hannah V. Can.
Hit it. Okay. What do you
That's
got, Hannah?
me. Yeah, so I'm a vegan home cook who really focuses on avoiding certain allergies, specifically soy. Soy is everywhere, and not everybody can eat it. So
Right.
I actually have an opportunity to apply to America's Test Kitchen for their next generation TV show, where then the winner gets to be part of the America's Test Kitchen crew. This is
Of
right
course
up
you
my
do.
alley.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah,
badass. Okay,
yeah.
so
So
what's the question?
it's right up my alley. So I'm working on my submission right now, right? And
Mhm.
when you were just talking about the gatekeeper, talking about what do they want to hear, that was really what I was wanting to kind of get around is like, um, I want to speak directly to them about not about like what I like, it's what I can
Yeah.
do for them, but
Okay.
it's also like what I do for others. And I think that
Right.
my
So,
my
okay. So
vision,
Hannah,
yeah,
okay. So I totally get it, right?
Okay,
Pardon
thanks.
pardon my interruption, but I want to give you value. Right? You're making the classic mistake. My product or service, the thing that I want to offer. Start with this. Here's the biggest mistake that most X people make, right? Here's the biggest mistake that most realtors make. Here's the biggest mistake that most people who want to get rid of soy make, right? You want to immediately give the impression that you're the expert in your field. And by doing that, you get the interest of the gatekeeper, right? They're looking at tens, maybe hundreds of these things. So right away, you want to show them that you know what you're talking about and you want to deliver value. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does.
Okay. And we had someone else with their hand up, and they put their hand down, they put it back up again. So, Sharisa? Huh? So, clearly, oh, okay. Boyce.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, the first one that asked the question, I can't remember her name. I'm terrible at names. That's another thing I got to improve on, and
All right.
I that's a daily thing. But my major experience of speaking has been stage wise, like her, has been from behind a podium.
Okay.
You know, but also times where
And so
I'm
what's the
in a
struggle,
group
Boyce?
interaction. And
Yeah.
I'm
What's the
in a
struggle?
group. Yeah. The struggle is that I think what you're talking about is going to help to get me to get the people looking at the not necessarily the product, but how it can help them.
Okay, great. So
And,
what's the product, Boyce?
well, for me, it's gold and silver.
Okay. Fantastic. Right. And so what I'd suggest, in a way of what I shared with Hannah, this is so funny. Like I'm looking at the square that you're in, and I'm trying to look at my audience. So there's always going to be a lot of people doing what you're doing. Right? You have to ask yourself the question, why me? Why me and not somebody else? Right. And it has very little to do with the product itself, because if anybody can sell your product, or a lot of people are selling your product, there's no reason for someone to work with you. I can't tell you early in my career the number of times that I got people into coaching with a different coach, right? Because I wasn't closing them, right? I wasn't saying this is why you should work with me. I was saying this is why you should work with a coach. Like, great idea. I'll find somebody, right? So it's so important to start with establishing yourself as a thought leader. And that's why I like saying, hey, look, here's a mistake that most people in gold and silver make, right? It's they do this, right? They think it's easy, right? Here's what I've learned, right? And whether or not you work on me is immaterial. You should do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Fantastic. All right. Cool. So the
Robert, can I call you back?
yes, Tom.
Yeah, I get a question. Is it okay to ask people to hold their questions toward the end? Because a lot of times I go through a process where I'm actually telling them about the, whatever I'm talking about. And if we get off into specific questions about their issue, it delays everything. And I may answer their question in the next slide. So it's one of those things that say, is that okay? I mean, I want it to be interactive, but a lot of times I don't want to get derailed either.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that I didn't cover that I will cover right now. And that is managing your audience, right? It's important from the moment that you walk out on stage, you give people the impression that you're in control of the room, right? And so if you give someone too much leeway, there's a good chance that they're going to take control of the room. Right now, and I didn't do it today, but I like to put Q&A in the middle and at the end. And it can be a little dicey. Like I had to really learn how to do that, because if you don't control the room, then the Q&A becomes the rest of the presentation. So there's a couple things that you do. Somebody has a question. You can say, first compliment, never go wrong with that. Hey, that is a terrific question. I love that. I actually am about to answer that. So if you can hold about 5 minutes, I think we're going to get the answer to that. And I'm also doing a Q&A at the end. So we're going to cover it then too, right? That shows respect for them, respect for the audience, and it also shows that you're controlling the room. Now, part two, if you do a Q&A mid-presentation, it's really important to set a little guideline. I say, hey, we're going to do this quickly, right? We're going to get right to the point, and we're going to get right to the answer, because I have a lot more value and I want to make sure that I get to it. Right. So in that way, what you're saying is, I'm not going to let you go on and on. We're going to get to the answer, and we don't want to take too long because I have a lot more value. So you're still selling that future of the things that they want. Does that make sense, Tom?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, and the other thing that you have to realize is that the how do I say this? The rules of politeness are a little bit different when you're in front of the room, right? When you're talking with someone one-on-one, you don't interrupt them, right? When you're on stage, it's okay, because you have a lot of people that you're responsible for. And it's okay to say, okay, got it, right? Like when you understand what their message is, or what the question is, you can just say, okay, got it. And then start answering it, and then move on. Because what you're ultimately doing is you're showing respect to the room. You're not showing disrespect to the individual. Cool. I know we're getting close on time here. Anybody have anything else that they want to talk about? Another question? I will give you like a question that I get a lot. And that is, how do I price it? Like, how do I know what the right price is? And that, pardon me, and that comes from a tremendous amount of research, and also just trying things because it doesn't always work. And so I've priced things too high. I've priced things too low. My general rule of thumb is you should always be just a little bit nervous about the price of the thing that you're selling. Always be just a little bit nervous, because if it's too comfortable, it's probably undervalued. If you're too nervous about it, you're going to show up as not being confident about the thing that you're selling. So just be a little nervous. Maya Lisa, you got the last question.
Hey, thanks, Coach Dan. While they've been asking questions, I went out and did call for speakers, most of them for 2024. Give me some more parameters, because most of the ones I brought up, their deadlines are 6 months before, like applying for a TEDx stage. So what do you do to still find something that's available this year? Any more search tips you can give?
You can do the year, pardon me, call for speakers 2025. Look, the fact is they put these things out way in advance. Like they may have an event, and the day after the event, they're doing call for speakers for the next year. So a couple things you can put, 2024, because there's still call for speakers out now. Try to be granular in how you approach that, meaning that be narrow your scope of who you're looking for. And the other thing is look for professional organizations that you like. If it is, I have this on my mind because I just did it, like the National Association of Realtors. Go to their LinkedIn, see who the person is that is in charge of that or their events, and just ask them, do you have a call for speakers? When's your next event? Be specific about what it is that you are looking for, and tell them, hey, this is what I'm an expert at, right? So it takes some homework, right? It takes some digging, but it's out there. Like I have a lot of them. and people are really looking for speakers. They're looking for qualified speakers. You know, the kind of the benefit and the problem is that so many people now, you know, they think, well, I have a mouth, I'm a speaker, right? And so there's a lot of really terrible speakers out there. And the people who book speakers know that. And they know that even going to a like a speaker service doesn't guarantee them a great speaker. And so when you show up really professional, you have great materials. And by the way, if you have opted in for any things that I've shown you, I will send you some of the ways that I approach these people, my one sheet and everything. And there's things like a Canva. A Canva is awesome. Like I'm a professional graphic designer. I barely use those tools anymore because Canva speeds up that process. You can make some amazing looking materials on Canva in a fraction of the time that it used to take me to design something out with like an Adobe product.
Awesome tip. And so speaking of how to do it, since you and I spoke last, I do have a new lead magnet, which the whole idea is here are the 8 stupid mistakes that people make when it comes to thinking about a TEDx talk. So how do I couch
love it. Hey,
yeah.
Put that in the chat.
Okay, sure.
And just so you guys know, Maya Lisa is an expert at getting people to get TEDx talks. And so if that's of interest to you, connect with her. Now, full disclosure, you cannot sell on the stage with a TEDx talk. You can't put a QR code up there. You can't do anything that even comes close to selling or mining the audience. So just know that. But it's a great credibility builder. So Santu, how are we doing on time? Are you in the room?
Yeah.
Yes.
You've got about 3 minutes left.
Oh,
The end.
fantastic. I'm sorry, I just talked over you, but was there something else?
No, you didn't. I was just saying you have 3 minutes left. But I see Boyce has his hand up. Maybe he has another question. There's time for another question.
Okay. Well, I do want to get back to talking about Jules, and I want to share that slide again. And it doesn't say specifically how to get in contact with her, but if you go to her website, and would you put that in the chat
it's in
again, please?
I put it. Yeah, I put it in the chat, but I'll put it in again.
Okay, thank you. Look, I just want to say again, Jules is such an amazing woman, and look, everything that I hate about speakers and coaches, Jules is the opposite. A tremendous amount of value, a tremendous amount of integrity. She works really hard to make sure that she delivers on her promises, and I know that she goes above and beyond the things that she offers. For me, if you want to get in touch, like I said, you can hit this little thing here. You can text the word help to 213-409-8366. You can also go to my website, which I guess I'll put that in the chat. Wouldn't that be smart, Dan? Which is dangordonenterprise.com. There it is. And it's enterprise, like the Starship Enterprise. And yes, that's why I named it that. And you can learn a lot more, or you can see a lot more about what I do and how I do it. And please, if you have any interest, book a call. Let me steal everything. A lot of what I've done is derivative of what other people have done. I don't think there's anything new in the speaking world or the online world. We all just add our own personality, our own flair, our own flavor and style. And also, if you would please, if you haven't, hit that, text the word love to 213-409-8366. I would really appreciate some love on my Google business review. It's a great way to help me get out there in the world. So look, thank you. Oh, shit.
Dan, I just want to say, are you able to put up the slide, Jules's slide up again? And I'll just say a little bit more about
Sure.
the program that she offers.
There it is.
People.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me put myself on mute. So can you put that up again?
It should be up. Is that not it?
It's up now.
Okay.
But whenever someone speaks, it goes away. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. So if you can,
Yeah. If you put it on speaker view, everybody, I mean, you should be looking at this on speaker view, so you didn't miss anything. But that's how it'll be up there full time. But please go ahead, Santu.
okay. Can you pin that slide? Because whenever I talk, it goes away or I can't see it, and I am on speaker view. So can you just pin that slide?
I'll pin it. I don't know if it's going to go away for.
Okay. That, no, it's still going away. That
Okay.
didn't work. Anyway, so just wanted to say, oh yeah, for what you get, which is a very good price, you get weekly calls on a Monday, and there are summits that happen throughout the year as well, and other speaking opportunities where you get a chance to showcase your knowledge and share your value. So it's a very good group to join. There's lots of tips that that Jules gives as well in terms of thank you, in terms of marketing, social media, all sorts of things. And you know, you could see, oh, and you get the opportunity to write for her magazine. And for those that don't know, if you write for the magazine, you can put your link to your website there, and that gives you what's called a backlink on Google. So it builds your authority on Google by writing something in the magazine that has your link. Anywhere that you contribute where you can put your link creates a backlink for Google's SEO purposes and helps you rank with authority. So I think this is a really nice feature that Jules offers, this magazine writing opportunity that most coaching offers or most communities don't offer. So take advantage of that as well as the opportunity to be speaking. So you get a chance to speak, to write, and to learn. And yeah, to learn about all sorts of things, including social media, how to get visibility, learn about branding, etc. So Jules does also offer a free consultation, a free discovery call, as some people call it. So do reach out to her if you haven't already, to have your discovery call, and she can say a little bit more about her program, her membership program. And I'm sure she'll give you value for your business as well. That's it. Thank you very much, Dan, for coming and for sharing what you know with us.
This has been such a delight. Oh yeah, hold on. There I am. It has really been a delight in speaking with all of you, and hopefully inspiring you to be a great to sell from the stage. And just thank you so much for being here and for your time and attention. And go out there and do great things. Thanks so much.
And if anyone wants to save the chat, do that now before Dan closes the room. There's good resources in the chat, so do save it by clicking on the 3 dots.
Santu, you said click on the 3 dots because I always try to find how to save the chat, but when I click on
Oh,
the 3 dots, it's not letting me.
yes. And I forgot to say that if you're on a phone, you can't save the chat. It's only for
Oh, okay. Well, would it be possible for you to send it to me? I can give you my information really quick. I'll
yeah.
text it. Okay, thank you, darling.
Send it to me privately in the chat.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, it's sent. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
You too. I got it, Sharisa. I'll send you the chat as well. Hmm.